Whoa is right. That substance you were sipping before is what we in the industry refer to as ass water. Sure, it technically has caffeine, but at Bones Coffee, we believe in the experience of waking up every morning looking forward to that first tasty cup. That's why we roast carefully selected beans in small batches to perfection, so you can count on quality in every cup. And not only that, Bones has a ton of fabulous flavors from which to choose.
Hey, did someone mention flavors? Highland Greg, pleasure to meet you.
What'll it be, Greg?
You know, I've been hankering for the spiced rum flavor of Highland Grove, please.
Greg, I'm surprised by the size of your bagpipe.
Ugh, it's not the size of the bagpipe that matters, laddie.
Yeah, it's how hard you blow it.
Yeah, let's leave the talking to me.
Oh, gee, I just got back from chasing some hosers out of the grilling rink. I could go for some maple bacon coffee right about now.
Coming right up.
Hey kid, you single?
Yeah.
That's why this place looks like
Here you are, my salty siren.
Thanks. I need the salted caramel chocolate pick-me-up after dealing with this loser.
How in the world are all these people getting in here?
We just walked in. Click on the link below to stop drinking water and get yourself Bones Coffee today. Or maybe you don't want to click on the link below because you think, flavored coffee's not for me. That was Sarah G's experience. She says, usually flavored coffees taste chemically to me, but these do not. They have a really pleasant aroma and flavor. They do not leave that weird residue on the bottom of your mug like many flavored coffees do. And Cheryl S. says, I ordered this for my son's GF for a B-day. She loves it. Why, Cheryl, that's awfully nice of you. Unfortunately, they broke up and I can't return it. Frowny face. Well, that's awkward. At least she liked it, though. Stop settling for mediocrity and order Bones Coffee today.
Welcome back, everybody, to College Sports Villains on the Dog Media Network. I want y'all to meet my daughter, Palin. Say hey to everybody.
Hey.
So she's 14 now. She wanted to stop by, say hey, show. Thank you. You can go in there and play now. All right. So welcome back, everybody. He said he was just messing with me. He didn't watch it. So because I was ready to talk about the refs, especially in women's basketball. But let's introduce to the stage our last co-host of the day, James. How we doing?
I'm doing good, man, and it feels good to be a permanent co-host on this show.
I love it. We're going to recap some stuff. Chris, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, boy.
Let's just say to be a permanent co-host on the show, you got to show up on time, don't you?
Hey, let me talk to you. I didn't do it on purpose. I clicked the link, and next thing I know, I go into the studio, and it says show ended. No, maybe I clicked the wrong link. Maybe I clicked the wrong one. I don't know. Okay.
The show has definitely not ended. So we are going to do a recap of a few things that you missed real quick. And then we saved WrestleMania, of course, and the main topic of the day. Tara Vandiver, she retired, women's basketball coach, one of the greatest of all time. I just want to go ahead and give you all the reminder real quick of just who your national champions are. I really, really like that. We talked about this. I know you got a little into college football this year. Before we move on with some more topics and talk about some other stuff, do you see anything here that you disagree with, James?
Yeah, Quinn Ewers being the second best quarterback going into next season. Like, yes, Texas actually did something last year, but Texas is Texas. They haven't done a damn thing since 2005 when Vince Young was under center.
Fair take.
And they were really good with Vince Young under center.
They were, but honestly, I trust Arch Manning under center than I would Quinn Ewers. I mean, it's like, oh, this dude is our next savior. He is this quarterback of mixed quarterbacks in the NFL, except with a mullet. Okay, cool. In order to actually do something, you need to actually win something. Right, Caleb Williams?
He won the Heisman. So
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
won the
saying,
Heisman. Where he's supposed to be this next level generational quarterback. Where are the national championships, though?
I think that's a term that gets thrown around way too much, is generational talent.
it is, but I'm going to defend Caleb Williams here. Like, he scored like 40-something points a game and still lost a bunch. I mean, if you
he lost to Tulane. What was the last fucking time they were actually relevant?
He put up 49 points in that game, did he not?
He also threw 7,000 interceptions against Notre Dame last year.
And then cried to his mama in the stands. Yeah, because that's what Chicago needs.
Well, I think he's going to be really good for Chicago. I know you're still hurt about the Justin Fields thing. Justin Fields not even starting in his new place. Really weird. So one of the topics we brought up earlier, because I want to get your take on this. All right, going forward, like your franchise quarterback you're about to sign to a long-term deal. Are you taking Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love?
Ooh, man. I want to say Jalen Hurts because, yes, there was a lot of things that did help the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, more so the tush push and everything like that. I think it's more so that Jalen Hurts has more playoff experience than Jordan Love does. Did the Packers beat Dallas in their home stadium? Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, Dallas is the football version of the Dodgers. When it comes to playoff time, they constantly choke. So I have more faith in Jalen Hurts than I would Jordan Love. I mean,
yeah, me too. So we were Chris and Mac had a different take on that. They think Jordan Love was a better choice to going forward. My problem with Jordan Love isn't his arm. It's like I watched him play a bunch of games and his decision making it isn't there.
Right.
And maybe because he hasn't played enough, he's been injured a lot in his short career. But
like 3-4 years, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, says Biden has a body double.
If you're playing behind a guy that thinks the United States president is a body double, you got problems.
Hey, that's that ayahuasca talking.
Yeah, it is. That's his magic mushrooms. He had a better first year than Rodgers. Replacing legends are never easy, right? So we have two more segments. You want to pull up, Chris, what you uploaded a minute ago? We could talk about that for a second as well.
So we were talking about people looking like people earlier. So as everybody knows, Arkansas hired a new basketball coach this week.
Oh, yeah, they were throwing stones at me. You missed that, James.
Oh,
boy. Just happens to be John Calipari. And I want you to look at this image and tell me.
I know the image.
Does this not look like Clay Travis in a red suit? I mean, look at that. I swear to God, somebody cut Clay Travis.
He looks like a mafioso boss.
Yes.
That looks
like, look out, New York City. Here comes a Chicago mob boss.
But I swear to God, though, he does, and that looks like Clay Travis. If you've ever watched Clay Travis or seen pictures of him,
okay, yes, to quote Conor McGregor, who the fuck is that guy?
that
Wall
was
Street to me. I mean,
yeah,
the only coaches I know are Coach K, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, Rick Pitino, John Calipari, obviously. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I earlier, what you missed before we go into another segment is apparently I look like Aaron Nola. I have a big ass nose, and my wife said I have a big ass forehead. So they were
No,
throwing
you
all the
don't.
smoke.
You don't have a big forehead. He has a big forehead.
Oh my god.
But I'm reading these and I'm hearing that, and I'm like, man, they're all attacking me, and they're both like, no, I'm not saying that. But yeah, man, I got all the smoke tonight, didn't I?
I can
don't
give
know
Clay
how
Travis
much
some smoke. Do we dare dive off into that one?
No,
Let's not and say
you're not going there. You're not
Yeah.
going there today. But let's go ahead and discuss, and I want James to take the lead on this. Let's go ahead and discuss this.
The tyrannical reign of Roman Reigns is officially over. Oh my god. I mean, look, WWE went all out for this main event between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. I mean, look, the people that came out, the crowd was going nuts every single time. I mean, it basically all started with John Cena. As soon as his music hits, the crowd went nuts. Now, me personally watching the match and hearing Undertaker's bell toll, I get it. Undertaker's been out of the ring for a while. It's like his first appearance since I believe he retired. But, I mean, let's be honest. True WWE fans, looking back on the Attitude Era, know that Stone Cold and The Rock made the Attitude Era. The one absolute thing that we were hoping to hear was the glass shatter. But, I mean...
Yep, they couldn't come to an agreement, I heard.
Say what?
They couldn't come to an agreement with Stone Cold, from what I hear.
Okay. Well, look, it is what it is. It was still a great main event, and even the ring announcer couldn't even keep it together when announcing that Cody Rhodes ended the 1,316-day reign that Roman Reigns had on the WWE. Like, I got a buddy who was my best man in my wedding and said that he would not watch SmackDown until Roman Reigns lost the title. That man was more committed to not watching SmackDown than a One Piece fan.
So now that Cody is the champion, right? Where do you see this going? Do you see him in The Rock at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I could honestly see him and The Rock at SummerSlam. They were in the ring together discussing plans. Sounded like they were discussing plans moving forward. And, we all saw The Rock give Cody something. I don't know what the hell it was. But, I mean, if they clash at SummerSlam or, hell, even Backlash, it would still be something to watch.
Yes. R-Truth. So R-Truth did
Facts.
win.
Facts. Also facts.
Yeah, so R-Truth came out with in the tag team tornado match and won the titles. He was real funny. Then he showed up the next day with the title and got in between them, and when Damian Priest and them were putting their titles, Rhea Ripley, I believe it is.
Oh my god, they truly are professionals. I would have had to go off camera because I would have broke so hard.
Oh yes. Did you see the footage of CM Punk backstage that was supposedly so big of a deal?
Yeah, honestly, unfortunately, it is AEW's version of WCW's The Finger Poke of Doom.
Right, the finger poke of doom.
They are burying themselves at this point.
I don't know enough about it to really be informed. To be honest with you, I just don't.
Yeah.
But let's because I still want to get into some baseball. Let's talk about this.
All
right? Who has the best
Okay, so I know
uniform? College
Florida-
football. We'll start. What's that?
was gonna say, I
you
know
choose anybody you want.
Florida,
Like it
Ohio
doesn't. These are
State.
just examples.
Okay. Who are the other two teams that
You
are
got
like?
Oregon State, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Florida, and Oregon.
Oregon easily.
Oregon easily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
White,
have to
yellow,
go
and
with
green. I mean, it's just like, again, it just looks so nice. It pops. It's appeasing to the eye.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they get priority because the owner of Nike. Emily, who do you think has the best uniforms?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the uniforms.
Well, I mean, you could say Alabama, like they have a
Yes.
classic uniform.
Yes. I'll just take the cheap
Here.
way out and say Alabama.
That's fine with me. The only contender that looks part of a heavyweight. So yeah, he is definitely the only guy that's big. I mean, I would say Roman Reigns. I mean, he's a pretty fucking big guy too, I would imagine. But yeah,
But he's gonna be
Cody and
taking
all
some
them.
time off from WWE, so
Yeah, he is. Definitely Oregon. JD says definitely Oregon. James is definitely FSU. He's an FSU fan, so
I was gonna say, do his parents know that he's coming out of the closet yet?
They don't know. But
you say FSU, it means one thing.
I'm going to ask Chris his favorite, and I'm just going to say my favorite uniforms are South Carolina. I'm taking the cheap way out too. But outside of that, and this segues into Chris so well. Like this just screams Chris. I'm going honorable mention NC State.
I mean,
look
hell,
at Chris.
I mean, look, with uniforms, give me South Carolina, give me any school, whether it's Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, Purdue, South Carolina, any team that can rock the all black. Or hell, even just the schools that I mentioned, they can rock all black any day of the week, and it still works for them.
I agree. Chris, your favorite uniforms? I don't know if it's Vandy or not because you do differentiate, but outside of Vandy, because we know you like those, who you got?
So I'll put it to you this way. I like old school.
Yes.
Keep it simple. So two of my favorites are always going to be Penn State and Alabama. But my favorite uniform, you got to be able to rock the black and gold. You have to. And it's the simplest color combination in the world. There's only a few schools that do it.
JD will love
But the black and the old gold are impeccable when it comes to, the best color combination.
I told you.
So, yes, I'm going to say Vanderbilt. UCF does black and gold really well. But I'm going to go I'm going to go Vanderbilt.
Another team that rocks the all black very well.
And it actually, nobody else can rock the gangsta PJs like the Vanderbilt Commodores baseball team. If you know, you know.
Yeah, we've seen them on air.
I don't know. I think Indiana's basketball team with their striped pants would say otherwise.
Oh,
maybe.
Were nice. Those were nice.
Just pure classic.
So here we go. Everybody, you ready?
It's time for Mac's Spicy Picks. So, I didn't upload anything today. I didn't really have too much time, but I will give you a spicy parlay. Bear with me. Boom.
Okay.
All right. So what is this? So I got John for the Masters, right? So I got John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, right? Fuck is this the guy who fucking Oskay and Tiger Woods finishing in the top 20.
Ooh.
Oh, you have them finishing in the top 20. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that because at first I'm like, but yeah, top 20. Yeah, I got you now. I got you. I just,
Yeah, I mean,
didn't understand what
listen.
you were saying.
Yeah, I can't put all those guys as winners. No. So
That's
so
what I
what
was.
yeah, it's just a top 20 parlay. So I threw it in there. It's what is it? It's plus 1,400.
Nice.
So yeah,
Okay.
nice
So-
little come up. I got $5 on it. So
Hey,
see.
So I'm glad you clarified that it was top 20 and not the winner. Because
I mean, that was a lot of winners. That's a lot of winners.
Because as far as the Masters goes, as long as the missus can keep the plug in so the baby don't come out, Scotty Scheffler is going to win this thing. I said what I said.
You know, I mean, let's all choose ours real quick. I'm feeling nostalgic today. I'm liking the vibes. I'm liking the comments. I'm liking the confidence. I'm going with Tiger Woods one more time. Do it, Tiger. Do it. Bring it home. I'm making the pick right now. James, who you got?
Oh, man. I mean, this kid was supposed to be like the next dominant golfer for years to come, 9 years ago. If he's in it, hey, cool. I'm going to take him. Jordan Spieth.
That's not a far stretch. He's a fantastic golfer. I'm confused. I mean, that's somebody that if he won it, I'd be like, okay, yeah.
I mean, after like 3 years of being in like the top 5, top 3, he just kind of started falling off. I don't know where he is in the standings right now, but I'd love to see him get one and just be back on top again.
So before we go to Matt, I will tell you, and I think Chris will agree with me here. He has the David Duval syndrome. So he was really good. Then he hit the weight room and it messed up David Duval's game really, really bad. And I think that's what's going on with him. As you see him bulk up, his game is coming down. And I think that's exactly what's because David Duval was the bomb. He won a major. He's on top of the world. He hit the weight room on the off season and you never heard from him again. It was just that quick too. Him and Phil Mickelson, like there for a while. Boy, that was so much fun golf back in those days. Sorry to hijack that from you, Mac. Who you got winning it all? You threw a lot of names out there.
Well, you took my spicy pick. My spicy pick is Tiger Woods. He spent 2 weeks training at Augusta for this. Like this is he's trying to win it one last time.
Mm-hmm.
Orioles just hit a fucking home run. We're up 3-2. Yeah.
How's Jackson doing?
He got a hit.
Drop
it. That's how you bounce back.
Emily, who do you think is going to win the Masters?
I'm going to go with Tiger Woods just because that's the only name I know.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. I go with Tiger. So I love Tiger. I wanted to win. But yes, Holiday, man, he is going to be phenomenal.
Yes.
The Braves lost 2 or 3 to the fucking Mets. I don't understand. 16-4. And the hapless Miami Marlins beat the Yankees. Like something's going wrong in baseball this week. I know shit happens. Baseball is a marathon, not a sprint, but come the fuck on.
Or something's potentially going right for teams that end up being bad but start off good. The Royals hung 9 runs on the Astros in the first inning alone.
Swept them.
They literally batted around their lineup, and people that got out fucking redeemed themselves. I mean, like I said, like I told Andrew here, KCPD was being called because the Royals were royally massacring the Astros that bad in the first inning.
Yeah, I mean, they got a sweep. Chris, what was your thought?
So you mentioned the Yankees beating, or the Marlins beating the Yankees, in which I have a personal connection to that. I am friends with the Weathers family. If you know the history of the Weathers family, David Weathers won one of his 4 World Series championship rings as a reliever for the New York Yankees. He spent 19 years in major leagues. And his son, pitching for the expansion team that drafted David Weathers, Ryan Weathers, was the starting pitcher at Yankee Stadium the other night and pitched 5 shutout innings. So it's a personal connection for me. It goes back a number of years and people that I care a lot about, you know, and to see him do that, it meant a lot to me. So congratulations, Ryan, on a phenomenal performance.
Yep, it was. Jamie, so they we're like 10 games in. We don't know anything about the playoffs yet. But I would not be willing to bet Cleveland's going to the playoffs this year. I wouldn't bet on it.
I was even going to say 2 things. First off, respect for still calling them the Indians and not giving into that PC bullshit. Second, the Tigers and Royals are somehow competing in the AL Central when they were honestly projected to have a mediocre season.
We talked at the beginning of the year. I'm big on the Tigers. I was before the season started.
I think we all took the Tigers as one of the dark horses.
Yes, I think we did. Yep.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves because again, we're 12 games into the season.
Yes,
that we are.
Yep. And how about Sonny Gray getting cleared off the injury list and coming out with the performance he had for the Cardinals the other night?
Yeah, well,
nice.
It was very nice.
They have pitching. 100%. They have pitching.
I did not upload the video. I should have. But what about Major League Baseball refs allowing a ball popped up that hit the pitcher's mound to go and let the Oakland Athletics have a double play instead of calling the infield fly rule? And it stood in New York. Like what? What the hell is going on?
Maybe Angel Hernandez has some connections we don't know about.
He must. How do you not review that? And New York be like, that's called an infield fly rule. I'm so confused.
That ball was so close to the pitcher's mound.
Yes,
I mean, it could have been a more infield fly if the ball actually tried.
It was on the home plate side of the pitcher's mound, not even the second base side. Somebody took some money there. Chris, you've been watching longer than any of us. Have you ever seen the umpires do that? Close to the infield?
So the only thing I can figure out is the umpires decided that without normal effort, a play couldn't be made, which is one of the precedents for calling an infield fly. It's got to take normal effort.
It was a foot from the pitcher's mound.
So the only thing I can figure out is they decided it didn't fall under the category of normal effort because your first baseman's got to come in, your catcher's got to go out. One of those guys have to make an incredible play to catch the ball.
The entire infield and their dead grandmother was in on that play.
Yeah, they were right there. We saw the video.
That ball was so close to the mound, it was like a fat kid on a cupcake.
I get it. I get it. I'm just trying to figure out what the umpires saw.
The only thing I could think is the umpires were being jerks because they didn't catch the ball and they could have easily caught it. But that really would hurt. That wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they'd let them do a double play at that. But the whole thing was strange to me, Chris and James and Mac and Emily.
Yeah.
It was strange.
It was not as strange as fucking Oakland getting the win.
Well, I mean,
they have 5 wins right now.
Yeah, they won the series.
They'd be worse than the Marlins.
Even bad teams are going to win some games that they're not supposed to win every once in a while.
They are. That's true, but still, that play, man, that play was just ridiculous. The Braves losing 2 or 3 to the Mets was ridiculous. I know it's in April and it don't matter, and you're going to lose series, and the Braves are still going to win the East, but fuck the Mets, man.
I'm not so sure the Braves win the East.
Yeah, the Braves are winning the East.
Not with the injury, the injury problems creeping up on them. They've lost 2 guys in a week.
Spencer Strider is injured. It's not like they have a fully stacked team.
They've lost 2 guys in a week.
You know what? Like we go outscore people because we're giving up 7 runs a fucking game, and we've won 7 games.
You gonna bet on that?
Max Fried got lit up,
and we all know that Acuna is not going to stay healthy.
Well, we'll see if they do load management with him, which is where I'm thinking the Braves will probably go with Acuna. But so we really covered. And just so you know, James, something you missed, but we're doing this respectfully. OJ Simpson was one of the best to ever do it in the NFL and college. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. NFL MVP, Heisman Trophy winner, 5-time Pro Bowler. Damn shame he couldn't add Super Bowl champion to that resume because I didn't get to see him play. I only got to see and hear the other side of things, respectfully.
I only got to watch him act in movies. He was an actor by the time I came.
That's right. He was in Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen.
Hilarious movies.
Yes, like true slapstick comedy.
It was. Man, and you know that's what he did. And I never got to watch him play, but I have seen old games, and the guy was phenomenal.
Yeah, the highlights are just something else because it's like, bro, like you were Eric Dickerson before Eric Dickerson,
and he was faster.
Yeah, looking at it, I could probably say Eric Dickerson is probably the Tim Duncan of the NFL. Because he did use fundamentals to run fast, but yeah.
Yep, he did. So man, it was a great show. I want to thank all of you for being here. Before we go, I want to just go ahead and bring this back up as the reminder of who the champions are.
Oh my God, South Carolina kept getting so many bad calls. Look, a win is a win, is it not?
A win is a win.
Okay, so South Carolina overcame the bad calls and they still got the win.
Correct.
But they weren't bad calls.
But they were. And so was the one in Utah. So we want to say, so I want to, you know what, let's address the elephant in the room while we're here. We still got some time. So Chris said that the call at the end of the game was good because you got to call the foul. And then we showed him video evidence of them doing it, Iowa doing it to Connecticut over and over and over. And he said, well, they didn't call it in the moment. But it's totally okay that they did it for Caitlin Clark in Iowa. But it's not okay.
In the moment. What are you talking about?
Hey, but hear me out.
A foul's a foul.
Okay. The only reason they called it a foul at the end of the game was because she stuck her elbow out and she elbowed the girl in the face. That's what got called.
She hit her here. But a foul is a foul is your point. No matter where it comes from.
I mean, you have to call that foul. You can't swallow. If you're telling the official to swallow their whistle, then you might as well tell them to swallow the whistle the entire game.
I mean, look, I'm going to just say this. Great teams overcome adversity in the best way possible. South Carolina was undefeated. They were clearly a great team. Yes, they had some questionable calls, we'll say, going against them. But look, they overcame it and completed the perfect season, getting the national championship win.
They 100% finished the story.
So my whole thing, though, is the reason they called that foul on UConn was because of the elbow. It wasn't that it was a moving screen. It was because of the elbow. But when you look at the play in total, yeah, it was a moving screen followed by an elbow. So on on Sunday, they didn't call a moving screen on either team, and both teams were doing it. They didn't call it. They actually called a very clean game on Sunday. Yes, South Carolina had more fouls. Did you see how aggressive they were being on defense? You're going to have more fouls when you do that. But when it boiled down to it, it didn't affect the outcome of the game.
So my point here is we were talking about the foul. With 4 seconds to go, you're going to make that call. That's a bullshit call to make.
You have to make that call. You can't let somebody just elbow somebody in the face and not call it.
But you said a foul's out and you have to call it. So you have to call all of them. You have to make all of them then. You have to make all the calls then. Consistent.
It's just not human.
Like those girls were jawing and pushing at each other all night. Were they not? Like,
well,
they were
on top
going
of that,
at it.
fucking Nikita Mule, whatever the fuck her name was on UConn, she was all over Caitlin Clark like white on rice, a fat kid on a cupcake. Her foot was so far up Caitlin Clark's ass, the water on her knee quenched Caitlin's thirst. Shout out to Major Payne.
But my point is, like, you got to make all the calls, right? They were very inconsistent.
You can't possibly do that.
I mean, we made the call in the heat of the moment, didn't we? We could possibly do that.
Okay, but you can't ignore the elbow to the face. You're asking the official to swallow a whistle to get a favorable outcome for the team that you want to win.
No, that's not it at all. Those girls were pushing over and over and over. They were jawing. It was a physical game.
They weren't elbowing people.
And if it wasn't Iowa, I'm not sure you'd be saying the same thing right now, because
I absolutely would.
They are elbowing each other the whole game. That was an aggressive game. UConn and Iowa was aggressive from the jump.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that foul being called. And I was cheering for UConn. Remember, I said if UConn wins it, they win the Natty.
I don't think you were cheering for them. I think you picked them to win. The sports side.
I was 100% behind UConn.
So I still think UConn's going to come back next year and be the number one team.
Yeah. Revenge tour.
Oh, by the way, Vanderbilt has a official visitor this weekend.
The visitor that will be going to UConn?
Not going to UConn.
HBL is going to UConn.
That's why she's in Nashville visiting Vandy this weekend. She's going to UConn, right?
She's visiting. Hey, she'll visit a bunch of places. I feel in my heart of hearts she'll go to UConn. But who knows?
Don't want her.
I don't know. Well, maybe not. Like HBL does come with a lot of distractions, right? And she obviously couldn't guard Caitlin Clark at all. Caitlin Clark ate her ass up in that game.
That's funny.
Like anybody who watched that game, woo.
I think she's got to go somewhere that's going to get her mind right. And get her focused on playing ball again.
So I want to real quick recap the South Carolina game before we go, because we're approaching the 2-hour mark. So South Carolina, Iowa, officiating aside, right? Caitlin Clark had 18 points in the first, right?
Yep.
And then 9 for the last 3. So what happened was South Carolina transitioned to put Raven Johnson on
change
her.
that defense, yep.
And it was a lock. She couldn't do shit. Raven Johnson stole the ball from her over and over, put her in bad positions for shots. Like, it was a brilliant move by Dawn Staley. Like, Raven Johnson got the game-winning steal. And why that's significant, Chris will probably know. The rest of you probably won't. Last year in the Final Four when South Carolina was playing Iowa, Caitlin Clark brushed her off with her hand, like disrespectfully to Raven Johnson, just did like that to her. Very disrespectful. Caitlin Clark was very disrespectful, just as Angel Reese was, but like we only like to call Angel Reese out for that. But anyway, that's the story for next week. But my point is, she did a little wave, and Raven Johnson put a clamp on that bitch, didn't she? She clamped that bitch down.
If you remember, during the first quarter, I said, if this is the defense that South Carolina is going to play, and they're going to sag on Caitlin Clark, they're going to lose. But when they changed it up and went box and one and had one-on-one with zone coverage on the wrist, man, that Raven Johnson did such a great defensive job on Caitlin Clark. They couldn't get the ball passed down to the middle.
They couldn't. Nope.
So,
and I agree.
Now, the times that they were able to, Hannah Stolke was able to make her presence felt, and it gave them a little bit of an advantage. But for the most part, they kept that locked down where they couldn't make that entry pass.
They could not. We're gonna have to wait a minute before Emily comes back. We're about to do our wrap up anyway. But so before we do that, Diana Taurasi came out with a quote and said, Caitlin Clark looks superhuman against these 18-year-olds, but when she gets into the WNBA, it's going to be a different world for her. And why that matters and why that makes sense is because Raven Johnson put the clamp down on her. Imagine what these women in the WNBA who's been doing this shit for years are going to do to Caitlin Clark, especially now that she's already sold out all these games. Everybody's all about her. They have to move these WNBAs to bigger stadiums. Like this is a fact. This is what's on the Caitlin Clark effect. They're going to be out for blood with her.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that.
Sorry, I got to cut out of here. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Thank you, Matt. See you next week.
But yeah, like, I mean, no disrespect to Atlanta, but I think whatever team that Caitlin Clark goes to, it's going to be the Trae Young effect. You know,
Indiana.
You take out Caitlin Clark or Trae Young, the team that they're on can't do a goddamn thing. Well,
I don't agree with
UConn
that
was
either.
on the verge of beating Iowa because Caitlin Clark got shut down. Obviously, South Carolina pulled away in the closing minutes of the game. But like you said, as soon as the clamps were put on Caitlin Clark, Iowa couldn't do a goddamn thing.
Correct.
It's the exact same way that Trae Young was when he went to school in Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma proceeded to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
So my take is Diana Taurasi, who's been a classless jerk all weekend regarding Caitlin Clark. She disrespected her Friday night. She disrespected her Sunday. And I just think it's part of her being from UConn and picking, trying to say everybody at UConn is better than Caitlin Clark. That's what I took.
But that does prove my point. One, you love Iowa. We all know that. But Diana Taurasi comes out and says it. The other WNBA players are thinking it as well. That's what we were just talking about.
That ain't what they said.
They could say whatever they need to say for the ratings to come down the pike. But I guarantee you, they're like, I'm going to shut this bitch down. She's high.
But that's the conversation that they had, though, was you're building a team. Who do you take? And Diana Taurasi said, I'm taking Paige all day long. And her own teammate at UConn said, no, I'm taking Caitlin Clark. You have to take Caitlin Clark.
All right. So if I'm on a WNBA team and I can have Caitlin Clark or Paige Buchers, all right, thank you. I guess we'll see you next week, honey. Honestly, I think I would, and we're talking total game, not just shooting the ball, right? Not just drawing in the crowd and all that, because Caitlin Clark shooting the ball and drawing in the crowd all day long, but a total full game that's going to give you every piece of it. I'm going with Paige too. Like, I really am.
I think you have to go with Caitlin Clark to build an WNBA franchise.
And now, if you want to fill seats, yes. If you, because she's going to make these circus shots and all that. But I don't think even you in your heart of hearts thinks Caitlin Clark is a better complete player than Paige.
I'm not saying she's a better player. She's a better franchise piece.
Well, I mean,
because at the end of the day, it's about selling tickets and putting butts in the seat and turning a profit.
Correct.
Yeah,
and I said outside of that, I would take Paige. But
Caitlin Clark is going to be the one to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, look at the class that Caitlin is in. And, you know, her, Angel Reese, and like the other players of college that are going into the WNBA draft. I mean, the women's college basketball national championship had more viewers than the men's
by 5 million.
Yes.
Well, part of that was one was played in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday where everybody could watch.
That's
and the
true.
other one was played at 9:00 at night.
On the East Coast, mind you. But yes, also true. Also true. But I mean, think of what it's going to be like going into the WNBA draft with the class that we have going into this draft. I mean, the viewership is going to be insane.
So Indiana is going to be on TV all but 4 of their games next year already, and Caitlin Clark hasn't even been drafted yet. But everybody knows Caitlin Clark's going number 1, right? Yeah. The Las Vegas Aces have already upped their stadium from 12,000 to the AT&T 18,000 because of all the people that are going to show up. And while people would just not go watch, so one of the big reasons that Indiana is going to be so good, Chris, is Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are going to be on the same team. That is a dangerous ass team right there. Like they are going to be good, like super good. So, I mean, if we get the Aces and Indiana in a series, man, that shit's going to be classic.
You already know the viewership is going to be through the. There's going to be more viewers tuning into that one game than probably all 7 games of this year's NBA Finals.
I agree. If it comes down to the Aces in Indiana, yeah. You got Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark versus Asia Wilson and the defending champions. Shit. Yeah, man. Everybody's going to be jumping on board for that.
I would tune into the WNBA. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, me too. I do already tune into it, but I would continue.
So while we're on the topic of Caitlin Clark, do you want to show the video of what Dawn Staley had to say about her?
Oh, yeah, we can do that, and then we'll wrap up because we're hitting our 2-hour mark. We'll do final thoughts right after this. Let's listen to Miss Dawn Staley.
I really would just like to say that I have to congratulate Iowa on an incredible season. Awesome. And I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport. She carried a heavy load for our sport, and it just is not going to stop here on the collegiate tour. But when she is the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft, she's gonna lift that league up as well. So Caitlin Clark, if you're out there, you are one of the GOATs of our games, that we appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
That's respect.
That is respect. I mean, here's the crazy thing, too. I believe it was 10 years ago.
So you're going to get class with Dawn Staley.
Yeah. I think it was like 10 years ago that UConn coach Gino Auriemma said, like, look, I mean, I'm going to put it in a cocky way, but he put it in the classiest way possible. Like, look, if you hate our dominance, just get better. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing other schools get better and actually beating UConn when they were so dominant for so long.
And a large part of that is South Carolina, because like South Carolina and UConn, and Chris will attest because he watched his women's basketball like I did. Yeah, Donna's ago. Like those matchups since 2015 is really when it started, when South Carolina started getting really good between UConn and South Carolina. Classics, man, just all-time college classics. Like UConn would win and South Carolina, and they play each other twice a year every year. You can go ahead and bank on that shit almost. And like they play every single year in the regular season. They schedule each other. Because when Dawn and Gino had their joint press conference preseason 2017, I believe it was, they're like, we want to play the best, and we are the best. So they play each other every single year, and it's like Alabama and Clemson was for those years. Like that's how UConn and South Carolina is to the women's game right now. And then every once in a while, you'll sneak into LSU or somebody,
right,
or Mississippi,
or even a Baylor.
Right.
It's South Carolina, UConn now is what Tennessee and UConn was 15 years ago.
Ooh,
correct.
Yeah,
that is a fact. That is the new big rivalry. But with that being said, George is going to start beating our door down in a minute. So let's get our final thoughts up here. We'll start with you, James.
Yeah, so final thoughts. I mean, really, I'm not surprised that UConn went back to back in the with national championships. I mean, like, they let Zach Edey basically do his thing, and then as soon as he started to tire, they were just all over him, and it showed. But I mean, why bet on Purdue at this point? You know, when it comes to the NCAA tournament, it's mind-boggling to me. But we will be discussing more college basketball on my show tomorrow. It is the most uncut, unfiltered, and uncensored show you will find on YouTube. And when it's all said and done, at the end of the episode, you will know whose game it is, with everybody saying "No Mercy Sports."
Thank you, James. Chris, final thoughts.
So, final thoughts. I am proud to be a member of the Football Writers Association of America. I'm proud to be a member of the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association of America. None of that is possible for me if I'm not a member of College Football Dogs and the Dog Media Group. Now, let me say, if you want good sports information, College Football Dogs is it. We're not here for the clickbait. We're not here for creating agendas like so many sports reporters are doing today, and was evident this weekend beyond reality. We're here to report sports. We're here to talk about sports on our podcast, be it College Sports Villains, the Golden Boot Podcast, you know, a myriad of programming that you can pick with Dogs Media Network. Jump on board if you haven't already. Go follow us at College Football Dogs. Go follow us at the Golden Boot. Go like College Sports Villains. Jump in before it's too late. And back to you, Andrew.
Yes, and also go like No Mercy Sports. Thank you guys so much.
I apologize, I forgot.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching the show. It was phenomenal. I had a great time. Look up here, Gamecocks. They are your 2024 women's national champions. That's just how I want to end the show. Dawn Staley is the GOAT, and as always, John 3:16.
College Football Dogs. By the fans, for the fans. You win,